All right, I turned the lights up a little brighter. I'm going to feed my darters some blackworms. They'll get pretty excited, as do, of course, all the other fish. You can see the rainbow darters will swim way up and get a mouthful. There's a couple rainbow darters right here. There's a fantail darter sticking his head out of the rocks there. There's a green side darter right here, right next to my. He seems to be ignoring the baster. Oh, he got some there. There's a rainbow. There's another fantail back here. Of course, the minnows, if I give them a big squirt, they'll feast. The river chub will come up and take big mouthfuls of it, but right now he's spooked. He's sitting in the corner where I was feeding him earlier. 5 days ago, every rock in this tank was just covered with a blanket of cyanobacteria. And the back wall, the fake rock wall that I made was all covered in it. There's still quite a bit left, but it's about half of what it was. So I cut the photo period down to about an hour and 15 minutes every day this week. And that's really helped knock some of it back. Plus I cut the feeding. I only feed them once every 3 days now. And they're fat and healthy, so I'm not too worried about that. The fish are all... There must be plenty of blackworms in the tank already, living under the rocks and stuff. So I'm sure they're getting some food on their own. But I'm getting impatient with the cyano, and I want to knock it all out. And what started the outbreak was I had a pretty good crop of Vallisneria growing, as you can see. I don't know if you can see or not, and I also had some river stargrass, water stargrass, or whatever it's called, in the tank. And they died back quite a bit during the winter because I don't have a heater in here and it gets cold down here. The water temperature got down below 55. Anyway, that caused that's what happens in the rivers around here too. The Vallisneria and the stargrass die off when it starts to get cold before the winter and the fall. And then it comes back with a vengeance when the water temperature starts to warm. I'm not going to do it in this video here, but I could take you around the tank and show you the plants that survived the winter. And they're already starting to grow new roots. Even the stargrass, which really looks like a dead piece of grass right now, didn't have any roots on it a week ago, and now it's got roots, so it's starting to take hold again. That will help once I knock this cyano back. That should really help with the plant growth, and then the plant growth will help with keep the cyano at bay. Another development in the tank, I don't know if you noticed, there's one big fat female in here of the satinfin shiner, but there's 2 males. I always thought I had 1 male and 3 females, and then another one colored up. I don't think these fish change sex, I just think this was a male that hadn't matured. And eventually, as the water temperatures started to warm, he colored up, and now both fish are really an amazing color. There's plenty of flow in this tank. There are a couple dead spots where the cyano congregates, but as you can see, there's a lot of current in here, so there really shouldn't be that much cyanide growing. However, and I did the latest water change I did. I'm doing a water change tomorrow. I've been trying to keep them once every 2 weeks, about 30%. 3 weeks ago, I did about a 45-50% water change, and I scooped up as much of the algae as I could, cleaned off the rocks, and the tank was looking really good. And literally a week later, it was back. So I tested the parameters, and the nitrites and the ammonia, of course, are 0. Nitrate was like 3 parts per whatever, very, very low. So I don't understand why it's growing so much. But there is one other explanation, is that I feed these fish pretty heavily. I usually feed them a round of flakes, and I feed them a pinch of vibra bites, and then of course the blackworms. But I think the blackworms that make it to the bottom live for a long time, so I don't think they're contributing to the problem. And of course the maggots get eaten right away. So I'm not sure it's a waste problem. I think what happened was I had all the plants had died off. The plants pretty much filled half the tank up. The plant die-off contributed to nutrients for the cyanobacteria, and then it just never went away until I started reducing the light. But that's the story of the river tank. Until next time. Next time, hopefully, it'll all be clean.